Hey everyone, welcome to the Drop Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan, and today we've got a lot of exciting things to talk about. Not necessarily topics, but we're talking about all things 2022, the exciting things that are in store for the theme parks. So I'm excited to get into this, but of course we can't get into these topics without introducing our co-host. So let's jump over to our first one. Joining me as always is Sean Sposato. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
You know, I am doing fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
Yeah. And joining Sean is Trisha.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I am excited to jump into these topics. I think 2022 is going to be a great year. But before we do that, we do have one topic that we need to cover since it is an important one, and that is this. With the new variant of COVID-19 spreading and the concern rising, Universal Orlando made the announcement last week to update their mask policies for all guests. This comes from Universal. The health and safety of our guests and team members is always our top priority. As a result, face coverings will now be required effective Friday, December 24th, which has already passed, so effective now, at all public indoor locations within Universal Orlando Resort for both guests and team members, regardless of vaccination status. This includes restaurants, shops, and indoor hotel public areas. Face coverings are also required at all attractions from the moment guests enter the queue to when they exit the experience. Based on these updates, guests are expected to bring a face covering with them on their visit. All right. And so previously at Universal Orlando Resort, masks were just recommended for all guests, but due to the resurgence of COVID-19, unfortunately, they are updating that policy now to include everyone, regardless of vaccination status, guest or employee. Everyone is now required to wear face coverings when they're indoors. It doesn't say outdoors, just indoors. So with that information, let me pass it over to Sean first. What do you think of these updates? Do you think it's important, if it's necessary? And how do you feel about them kind of going backwards on that?
You know what? I will say with the recent resurgence of the COVID-19 pandemic, and personally I can say I've now unfortunately do know of more people who have tested positive within my own close inner circle. I understand it. I feel like I feel like this entire time we've been going through COVID, it's kind of just been this period of adapting to whatever the numbers have been, and that's what Universal is doing. Disney, they were actually never took away their policy.
That's a good point. That's this policy that they're switching to is the same one that Disney's had in place for a long time.
They've never not had masks required indoors, and so for that reason, I feel like it makes sense. Don't get me wrong. I prefer to not have them, but given the circumstances, it does make sense, and I get it.
Yeah. I have to second your statements. I think, unfortunately, I've been hearing about more people contracting COVID-19 now than any of the other variants. So, unfortunately, I would have to agree that I think it's a good idea for them to kind of reevaluate now. I'm curious to see if it progresses anymore, like their mandates, if they decide to change anything else. Because as of right now, like I was saying, outdoors you're still allowed to take your mask off regardless of vaccination status. Yeah. They recommend that if you're not vaccinated to continue to wear a mask, but it's not mandatory or anything. So it'll be interesting to see how they change that up. But Trisha, what do you think about these policies? Do you think it's about time that they kind of switch things up or reevaluate? And do you think that their evaluation is a solid one?
I think it's good that they have switched back to wearing them indoors. I mean, I personally still, if I'm indoors, I just wear one no matter what. Yeah. But I think it's good. I think it's good that they have that rule just for everyone, and it's a smart move. Yeah.
I'm glad that they're kind of making it blanket across the board. Yeah. If we're changing something, we're changing it for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In SeaWorld, it's still optional right now, indoors.
Really?
Yeah.
For SeaWorld and Busch Gardens?
I'm not sure about Busch Gardens. I think so.
I would assume so, because same company.
Yeah, yesterday I was at SeaWorld and for a little bit, and it was still optional.
Wow.
So.
Wow, that is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like pretty soon everyone's going to follow suit.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of concerning, or I don't know, it's kind of crazy just how many people are contracting COVID right now.
Mm-hmm.
This variant, I've heard it's less severe, but a lot more contagious. So
yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I just hope that everyone at the parks, I don't want the parks to shut down. And so whatever they have to do to, ensure that the parks stay open, I hope that they do it. But at the same time, I hope that everyone just stays safe. I don't want the theme parks to become a place that is risky to be at or dangerous to be at. So I'm excited, or I'm glad that they're doing something about it. And I'm interested to see just how this thing plays out. Hopefully it has a positive effect and starts to, bring cases down in Orange County and all that. Yeah. All right, but we are going to pass that topic over to you now. We wanted to keep that one short, but it was important to talk about because it physically changes the way that we experience the parks now. So we're kind of like going back to how it was a few months ago. So let us know down below what you think of these updated policies. If you're happy about them, if you're kind of disappointed, let us know down below. Let's start a conversation about this. But now let's move on to the fun topic of today, the title of the video. We're saying goodbye to 2021. It has been a wild year, and we are going to say hello to 2022. So let's kind of just jump into this. We have a list of things that we're really looking forward to, and then also a list of questions that we have, we're curious to see if this is going to happen, or maybe we'll hear more about this. But let's start off with what we're looking forward to. Does that sound like a plan, guys?
Yeah,
yes.
Awesome. So this is in no particular order. It's just kind of we're kind of just listing off things that we're excited about. And we talked a little bit about this before we started. But first up on the list, we have some new attractions opening, which is super exciting. So let's start off with one of the smaller attractions. And it's one that I'm honestly surprised isn't open yet. And that's Icebreaker at SeaWorld. So Icebreaker began construction way back in, 2019? Before the parks closed. I believe it was 2019. And then it finished construction in 2020. Late 2020, after the parks, I believe it was late 2020. Sorry if my facts are a little. It's been a long year, guys. But I believe it was the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. They finished construction of Icebreaker, and now it's just been sitting there. And we know that I believe it's February of 2021 or 2022. So in just a few months, this ride's opening up. Are you guys excited about this? Talk a little bit about this coaster. Are you excited? We'll start with you since you were just at SeaWorld.
Yes. Yeah. I am excited about it. I think the park needs a new coaster.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a good addition.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think the park needs another coaster. And I think it's going to be a great addition because it looks like a perfect first roller coaster for someone. It's a little bit more than a kiddie coaster, but it's not as crazy as Manta or Kraken or any of the other coasters that are there. So I think it's that perfect. Yeah. It's in that middle of the road that they don't really have right now. Yep. So I honestly think that it would be really good. Sean, what do you think about this?
The Icebreaker. I will say I don't know much about this attraction. I should probably know more about it. But I think any addition to any of the parks is always exciting, especially at SeaWorld. I don't know. I'm trying to think. What was the last addition? It was the
the water ride.
The water ride.
Oh man, I'm blanking on
called?
Falls.
Infinity Falls.
Infinity Falls.
Yeah,
which
Infinity
was
Falls.
Such
sorry,
a hit. And
you were saying that and you weren't even on. I'm sorry, Trisha.
Okay.
No.
But yeah, Infinity Falls.
And that was really exciting. And I feel like that has brought a lot of excitement back to SeaWorld. Not that there hasn't been, but it's always exciting when new attractions open. And I feel like this will only continue to hype SeaWorld. I know attendance has been there's been like some issues in the past few years with SeaWorld. I know it's been on a resurgence as far as like they're getting more numbers and, but you always hear weird things about SeaWorld as far as like the future of that. Theme park.
Speaking of roller coasters, that their attendance has kind of been like a roller coaster. There will be times where the attendance looks fantastic. Like, when right before COVID hit, they were like going through the roof. Like their stocks were up, their attendance was up.
They were like coming back, I guess, really.
Yeah. They had like a guarantee of like they were trying to do, because Universal for the longest time had this thing of like one new attraction a year. And SeaWorld kind of was like, well, if they're doing it, we're going to do it too. And so they were kind of like on a roll with like, building like new things and getting new experiences out. And as a whole company, so not just SeaWorld Orlando, but Busch Gardens. So it was kind of like Busch Gardens would get a new ride, and then SeaWorld would get a new ride, and then Busch Gardens, and then SeaWorld. So they were doing really well for a time being, and then COVID hit. And it was kind of rough at first. But I was just there not too long ago. It wasn't yesterday, like someone. I'm jealous, honestly.
I was there for like 5 minutes. That's okay.
That kind of seems like the tradition for like SeaWorld. Like you go there, you spend like a few minutes there, you see a show, ride a ride or whatever, and then you go. Yeah. But yeah, no, I was there for, it was like right before Christmas, and it was insane. Like, especially like in the front half of the park, like it was impossible to even walk around. Like we had to dip into a store just to escape for a little bit because it was wild. So SeaWorld's been coming back.
Yeah, that's how it was yesterday. That's why I didn't stay, because everything was a 90-minute wait.
Wow.
And all the shows were filling up. They had announcements saying that they were all full and everything. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go.
That stinks.
So,
yeah. I don't blame you. It got to the point where like, so we saw, I forget the name of the show that they're doing. It's like the ice skating show. It's like the nighttime show that they're doing. I forget it off the top of my head. But because Electric Nights was like just this last one, and that's still stuck in my head. But we went to go see that show, and we rode like 2 rides, and that was it. But the reason why that was it was just because it was so busy. Like we wanted to do more, but we were like, no, we're just going to get dinner and call it a night. But yeah, no, I think Icebreaker will be great. It'll be a good like people eater for capacity, like I think there needs to be something in the back area of the park where it's located, because Wild Arctic is down right now, and we have no clue if it's even going to reopen. I don't think it'll reopen, honestly. But so that's been down for a little while, and there just needs to be something back there, because right now it's like Shamu and that's it, and like Sesame Street, which is a big draw for families, but there's not really anything for like young adults or older. So I think that'll be a really good addition in that area.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So the next one on the list, we're going to stick with the SeaWorld company, because right down the street, well, not right down, like 2 hours down the street, we've got Busch Gardens, and they are opening the much anticipated Iron Gwazi. And this one I'm really excited for personally, because I'm a huge coaster fan, and RMC has just been killing it lately. Good thing I had a pop filter on there. But RMC has just been killing it lately, and there are talks of, will this dethrone Steel Vengeance as like the world's greatest coaster? Steel Vengeance is an RMC coaster over in Cedar Point in Ohio. Personally, I do not think so. They released a POV and it looks fantastic. I'm really excited for the ride. I don't think it'll dethrone Steel Vengeance. I'm putting it out there right now. I don't think it will. But there are a lot of coaster fans that think that it has the potential. And this ride was being built right at the same time as Velocicoaster was. And, man, that's just wild to think about. Like, just how long ago they were building Velocicoaster. And Universal opened Velocicoaster, like, early, like, what, March or something like that in this year? Something like that. I think
you're right.
Yeah, so it's been, like, 9 months that we've had that ride, which is insane to think about. but they were building Iron Gwazi at the same time as Velocicoaster, and it's just been sitting there, like, doing nothing. And just recently they started testing it again, because it's opening in March. But yeah, I feel like the hype has died down on this ride. Like, there was really big hype for this ride because, Velocicoaster was opening right down the street, 2 hours down the street, and then Steel Vengeance is like known as one of the world's best roller coasters, if not the world's best roller coaster. Same manufacturer, same kind of idea, where it was an old wooden coaster, and instead of demolishing it completely, they just like rebuilt it from the ground up and made it a hybrid steel coaster, wooden steel coaster. So there's a lot of comparisons to be made there, which is really interesting and exciting. But I don't think it's going to live up to Steel Vengeance. I'm very excited. Like I said, very excited. I am hyped. I think it's going to be a fantastic ride. But yeah, it's opening in March. So, Sean, what do you think about... I almost said Steel Vengeance, but it's Iron Gwazi. Did you ever ride the original Gwazi?
So I actually did not. But you know what? I will say one thing, and you obviously touched on it, was the fact of the construction of this attraction was like literally over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I remember I was not present at it, but there was actually a groundbreaking, I believe, for this 2 years ago. It was
something crazy, yeah.
So it was too long ago. It was it was almost obscenely long ago if you think about it now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like this ride is almost cursed or something,
Yeah.
Like they closed Gwazi and that sat there like
for like 20 years.
Yeah.
A long time.
For a
I don't know if it
long
was that long,
time.
but it was a long, long time. And
Yeah.
then they finally go about this amazing big next step, which is like creating this whole new attraction, whatever, blah, blah. And now they're in this weird spot where it's just kind of been sitting there for so long. And you actually said it best. I feel like possibly the hype might not still be there, as well as it should be.
It reached its peak, and now it's dying down.
Yeah, because I mean, it's literally supposed to open in 3 months. It almost feels like the Ratatouille experience, like how that was. It sat there for like a year, and then it opened. I was exciting. People, rushed to the Walt Disney World website to book the previews, but at the same time, I wasn't super excited for it because it just felt like it was so long overdue, and it just took so long to come. I understand why, obviously, but I'm just, because it was like COVID concerns and things similar and whatever else. But, it's unfortunate because it was just such a long time. And for something so big, for a park that could use any hype, just because it's just another theme park, like any theme park, I feel like I'm going to get hate. But just like, it was unfortunate. That's all. And it is unfortunate. And I wish it
really
would have.
was.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate. That's all. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to stop talking.
No, I agree. I think that there's just, and to even to add to just how unfortunate of a circumstance that really was, it was like right when Busch Gardens had started, like we were talking about SeaWorld, it was right as Busch Gardens like started getting its feet under itself again. And they were looking in, like, they were in good shape for a little bit, and then the pandemic hit, and then there was even rumors, which I think were confirmed. I don't know if they were confirmed or not. There were at least rumors, like very credible rumors, that RMC was taking control of Iron Gwazi because Busch Gardens couldn't pay RMC after construction was finished.
Oh my gosh.
Because the parks were shut down for so long. They were like, we literally cannot pay you. So there was like...
a rumor, correct?
Well, it is a rumor, but I'm like 95% sure that it was like confirmed through like some legal channel or whatever. Which is insane because I heard something similar about Icebreaker.
That's
being
so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, obviously, they did pay
Yeah,
them,
of
so there's
course.
no need to worry.
Yeah.
But there was talks that, like, if this ride were to open and Busch Gardens couldn't have paid RMC, that it was going to be like its own pay per attraction thing, and RMC would like own that coaster until Busch Gardens paid, and it would be like your admission to the park wouldn't get you on that ride, and you would have to like pay an extra which would have been insane. Crazy. I'm so glad that didn't happen.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But
I've never even heard of that before. That's so crazy.
Yeah. And again, it definitely like probably maybe kind of going down there. Definitely probably maybe a rumor, but I'm like pretty sure that was like somewhat confirmed. Don't quote me on that though. It's just neat little story, I guess. But yeah, there is a level of like tragedy to this story, but it's finally being resolved. It's opening in just a few months.
It's coming.
Yeah. And Trisha, are you going to be there?
I will be there.
You will be there.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. So are you excited?
I'm excited. Yeah, it's a long time coming. I'm ready for it.
Does this coaster have you a little nervous?
A little. I'm always nervous to ride the first time.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I loved it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I feel like if you could ride Velocicoaster, which you did, by the way.
Yes.
So if you could ride Velocicoaster, you will definitely be able to ride this ride.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's definitely going to be like that, a big step up for most people.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you're good with coasters, this is going to be like that next, like, really big, like, kind of scary, like, next step.
Yeah.
So this is like at the peak of like, if anything's going to make you tap out, it might be this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good first coaster option.
No.
Definitely not.
Unless you want to rip the Band-Aid off, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably not a good first coaster.
Viciously rip it off.
Yes, viciously.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for that one as well. Moving on, let's jump into the next one, which isn't as solid as, hey, we have a new ride opening, which is pretty dope. Instead, this is more of, I don't know, like, the beginning of a story, right? So Fear Factor just closed. It was made official by Universal maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, so not too long ago. It's still fresh wounds, all right? It's still fresh.
Ouch.
But hopefully in this next year, this is what our point number 3 is. Hopefully in this next year, we'll have some solid construction updates on... you break it, you buy it.
I'm sorry. Fixing my hair.
Yeah, he messed up his mic. I know you couldn't see it.
And then smack this. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
You're good. I'm just joking. But yeah, no, the parks have been kind of quiet with construction updates for a little while now because, a lot of the stuff that was under construction has either now opened or has just like sat almost dormant lately. Like we've done a few Tron construction updates on this channel, but honestly, like there's not a lot of work going on the outside. I'm sure there's a lot of work going on the inside of the building, but unfortunately there's like not a whole lot going on the outside. And every other project really has opened up, like Ratatouille's open, Velocicoaster's open, and then these other projects like Iron Gwazi or Icebreaker, like we just were talking about, are opening and they're finished. So there's not any construction update to be done. But Fear Factor Live seems to be the next project that is going to have some up close and personal construction that we can see. So that's my next point of things that I'm excited to look forward to. And maybe even with that, I doubt it, but maybe even with that, we might have an official confirmation from Universal about what it's going to be. As of right now, it's not even confirmed that they're going to demolish the stadium, but it's like, come on, guys, we know what's going in there. Right now, it is very heavily rumored to be a VR Harry Potter attraction where you're supposed to be like flying on a broomstick or something like that. Seems really innovative. The rumor is this ride was going to go into Epic Universe and the Harry Potter section that's going to be over there. But so many changes have come to that Harry Potter area due to the franchise not performing as well with Fantastic Beasts and all that. So creatively, they're shifting gears. But the rumor is they were so happy with this attraction that they decided to pull it from Epic Universe and put it in studios just to kind of hold us over while we wait for Epic Universe, because obviously that got pushed as well. So that's the running rumor, and all of the very credible sources that are out there have been reporting this for a long time. So... yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's an assumption, it's a rumor. I'm assuming that's what's going to be happening. And if that is the case, then construction should start any month now, because the rumor again is this is trying to open soon. Like, it's trying to open before Epic Universe to kind of like fill that gap. So I know that was a little long-winded, but with all of that, Trisha, what do you think about Fear Factor closing and the potential of us getting some big construction updates to this ride? Do you buy into the rumors, like all that stuff? Are you excited? Like, yeah, let us know your thoughts.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm a little sad that Fear Factor's closing because I had a friend, shout out to Layla, who was one of the hosts for that. So kind of sad about that, but
yeah,
I don't know how I feel about the VR thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
it sounds interesting, but
it does sound interesting.
I don't know. I'm kind of about it.
Yeah. Well, it's always it's kind of sad because like the show has been there for a long time.
Yeah.
And like that stadium has a lot of history at the parks between like the Wild Wild West stunt show that was there originally, some of the other smaller shows that have been there, and then of course it being a staple of Halloween Horror Nights. It's always sad when things close, but especially with this, it's not just that it's closing, it's that it's being demolished potentially.
Yeah.
And Universal has kind of an issue with their shows. Like, there's not very many left.
Yeah.
It seemed like all the shows that the park used to have are kind of now gone. Like, the only like big main stage show that there is that I can think of is Animal Actors.
Yeah.
Like, of course, they've got Blues Brothers, which is a small outdoor show, and then they have which, by the way, if you haven't seen Blues Brothers or if you haven't seen the horror makeup show, those two are fantastic shows that you have to see. Like, literally, they are almost like up on the list of like can't miss, like they are so good. But Horror Makeup Show is still like a smaller show. It's an indoor venue, but it's still like a smaller scale. Like, it's 150 seat auditorium, maybe something like that, instead of like a big outdoor arena style show. So it's just kind of strange that they're closing this down, and like Blue Man Group just left. Yeah. Of course, that was a paid for experience. Yeah. But like that closed down too. So it just is like all these shows are closing. So that is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Especially when you know someone that is so connected with that show, like that is sad.
Yes, and she was really sad. She loved that show, so she was pretty heartbroken about it.
Yeah, I will say that I don't think people gave that show enough of a shot. Yeah. I think people loved, like, there are so many people that, like, Universal fans that loved the Wild Wild West stunt show.
Yeah.
Forgive me if that's not the exact name, but the Wild Wild West show. People loved that show so much that I actually know people that never saw Fear Factor because they were just so bitter. They were like, well, I'm not going to watch it because it's not going to, like,
Yeah.
And I feel like people just didn't give Fear Factor enough of a shot. It really did have a whole lot of heart.
It did.
Yeah. It was one of those shows that, like, the actors really owned it, too.
Yeah.
100%. Like, the cast were really...
Yeah.
So
totally.
That's kind of sad. Yeah. But, Sean, what do you think about this?
They just put in the Bourne. Oh my gosh, the Bourne. What is the
Yes,
Bourne?
That's true. The Bourne Stuntacular.
Stuntacular, which is technically a show.
That is true.
And it's granted,
I forgot about that.
It features a massive screen that takes up a ginormous wall, and it's like a mix of like reality and then like just computer graphic images, which is also very exciting. But I don't know. It's interesting, I guess. Like to me, it is sad to see another attraction leave, but at the same time, as far as like this VR Harry Potter experience, I guess I would just like to know what it is about or what it could, like, I don't know many details about this. But I know people go crazy for Harry Potter, and especially at the Universal parks. And so, yeah, I guess I would just be curious to like know what it is about, even if it's just a live action show like that features. I know it's not really like, because I guess it is kind of by the Harry Potter section of that theme park. It's literally right off of it. Yeah. So I guess it would make sense.
They do a great job theming Diagon Alley, where like you don't really realize how close you are to other things. But like when you're walking in the backstage area over there, it's literally like right up next to each other.
Yeah.
So if they demolished Fear Factor Live, they wouldn't have to do a whole lot of work to make it like
Part of
super,
Yeah.
to either make it a part of it or make it like a next door expansion kind of thing. They wouldn't have to do much because it is so close. Like, I know in the park you do have to kind of like walk a little bit to get there, but if they rerouted kind of some pathways to make it connect, it is literally like right next door.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, it would be pretty simple for them to do that. The VR thing, I am kind of really interested to figure out what exactly it is, especially because VR attractions, as of right now, VR attractions are very low capacity attractions. And when you're a park like Disney or Universal, you have to have high capacity rides. Like, you can't build rides that have a capacity of like 500 people an hour. You have to build rides that have like 2,000 people an hour. And so it'll be interesting to see how they innovate the VR technology to the point where it is high capacity, especially because like they just opened Super Nintendo World this past year in Japan, and the main ride, Mario Kart, it's not VR, but it's AR, so it's augmented reality, and it kind of has a very similar thing where you have to put a headset on, and that is the process that takes so long usually. So I'm curious to see if they can like kind of take what they did with Mario Kart and just kind of like innovate it a little bit more and fit it with VR.
Like streamline it even more.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of a struggle when they redid Kraken at SeaWorld and they made it like a VR experience because it would take so long. They'd have to clean each individual glasses set, and then they'd have to apply it to your face and then tighten it and then make sure it's on tight enough because, it can be a safety hazard.
And everyone has different space, like IPD for their eyes.
And like they
you have to adjust that.
And they actually did away with that part of that attraction, did they not?
Because it was just too much of a hassle.
It was so, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Not to like rain on the parade.
I'm glad that you brought that up because that's like a really good local example of a park that tried VR. Granted, now that was like an overlay of the ride. It wasn't built from the ground up to be VR. But I rode Kraken when it was VR a handful of times, and the experience was, unfortunately, it was like borderline miserable because a lot of the times, like, it did slow things down so much, so you waited in line a lot longer than
the
normal.
loading process.
But
was
once
long,
you were on, like, it was almost impossible. And I have a VR headset at home, and I have tried multiple other VR headsets. So like, I do know kind of like, like, I have experience with this stuff. And I would get on the ride, and it would still be near impossible to get it to look clear in my vision, to set like the IPD and to set the distance between your like face and the screens to make it look nice. Like, and by chance, if you did get it to work, by the time you go down the first drop and the first loop, it's all screwed up anyway.
Because it was like they were smart. They were Samsung smartphones, were they not?
I actually don't know.
I don't know why I think that, but I'm pretty sure they were. I could be so wrong now.
I mean, I would believe it because that would make it cheaper.
Like, and because they have to maintain a signal with like where you are in the track. I'm assuming, unless
it was wired.
Yeah,
so there
it
would be a
is.
wire that would connect to the back of the seat.
I don't know. I thought it was. I'd have to go back and look at pictures.
Yeah, I actually don't know if that's what they did. I wouldn't be surprised though, honestly. But yeah, it was like, especially on a roller coaster where there's like, and Kraken too, like it's a B&M coaster, like very high G forces. By the time like you got halfway through that, like literally, probably twice, I rode it like 3 or 4 times, and at least twice the headset actually got lifted off to where I had to hold it.
Oh wow!
Because like going around the track, I had to hold it on my face, and at that point, it's not enjoyable. I would rather just ride the coaster the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, definitely.
But if it's a VR attraction built from the ground up, I wouldn't be surprised if like there's no motion. Like you would probably like I believe it's in Germany. Don't quote me. I am not too familiar with this attraction, but there is a VR attraction at a fairly large, definitely not on the scale of Universal, but a fairly large theme park does have a VR attraction already. And it's like a motorcycle attraction. I think it's themed to Twilight, actually. I don't know. But
love that.
Yeah, love it. But yeah, it's so I believe all you do is you get on like a motorcycle, and you can move the motorcycle. It's like an arcade motorcycle ride kind of thing, just with a VR headset. So I would assume that they would do something similar to that. But I don't know. Maybe we get a lot more of those details this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Or next year.
Or yeah. Well, I don't know. This year, I don't know when this video is dropping, so maybe this year, maybe next year, who knows? Probably by the time you're watching this, it'll be this year. In 2022,
there you go.
We're getting the details.
Yes.
But yeah, anything else you guys want to add to that? Or can we move on to the next one?
No,
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the next one, we are sticking with Universal, and we're sticking with the theme of construction updates. You guys probably know where this is going already. But Epic Universe. Epic Universe has been like the big construction project that everyone is talking about. We've got concept art, but due to the pandemic hitting, we were talking a little bit about this earlier. It got pushed, and now it's back on, and we're finally starting to see construction going on site at Epic Universe. We've seen a lot of backstage areas and warehouses being built. Obviously, like the ground has been, like the basic groundwork has been done, where they flattened and prepared the ground for construction. So a lot of the basic fundamental work has been done, and we're starting to see backstage areas go vertical. Sometime this year, we're expecting, or sometime 2022, we're expecting to actually see parts of the actual park that guests will be able to experience to go up as well. On site, they already have pieces for rides like the Yoshi ride for Super Nintendo World, and a few other pieces for like roller coaster tracks and whatnot are already on site. So we're expecting to see a lot of big updates for Epic Universe, and I don't know. We'll talk about this a little bit more later, but maybe even official announcements. But let's just talk about the construction updates right now. Sean, what do you think about Epic Universe? Do you think we'll get a whole lot of progress on it? Because, like, I know 2025 sounds like it's far away.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, building a theme park, it's really not. So I think we need to start seeing some progress soon. What do you think about that?
So for me, I remember when the original, I guess, opening date would be 2023. Am I correct? I believe it was 2023.
Yeah.
Then it got pushed to 2024.
Yeah, that was like, I don't think it was ever officially confirmed, but an executive
because like
leaked it.
I just remember at the end
he slipped and he said like 2023 or
when
something
they
like
first announced the theme park. It was like 2023 because I remember, like as part of the official announcement at the Orange County Convention Center when they first announced that there was going to be a theme park. Yeah. I believe a date, not an actual date, but a year.
Well, yeah, so they never actually said a year, but there was like an earnings call about 6 months after that.
Well, because I remember it got pushed back a year to 2024, so I thought the assumption was, because there was actually an article in the Orlando Sentinel, like where they actually discussed, like, COVID is messing us up. Mm-hmm. It's gonna take us an extra year. Yeah, and it got pushed to 2024.
They did specifically say an extra year, but I don't believe they gave an official date.
I feel like they did.
Okay. We could be wrong. One of us is wrong.
I'm pretty sure they did say 2024, okay. And then that's why 2025 seems outrageous to me because it's like 2 years past what I came to the assumption was the actual.
Yeah, and when it was announced in 2019,
like that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Because I remember so that just seems like such a, I don't know, for that reason, if they're pushing it back potentially another year, from which it was actually supposed to open, I question if they even want to talk about it anymore. I feel like they don't want to say anything because if there's already been so much, I guess, issues with making progress on this theme park, and yes, it is a massive undertaking. It's a theme park. It's their biggest one in Central Florida. I feel like I would like to think that they would tell us something, but I feel like if I were them, I don't feel like I'd say anything, to be honest. Yeah. I might say a date, not a specific date. I might say a year, but I don't feel like I would actually say anything. I don't feel like I'd want to. Yeah. I know, you could, argue like, well, maybe they should at least list some attractions or like some lands or something.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think they'll do that. But as far as like this next year, I don't know if they will.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm expecting. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's talk about announcements.
Because part of me wonders if they'll if it'll just be like part of me wonders if it'll actually take them that long to figure out what they can afford, what can come about. Like, I don't know. I know we've seen like the concept art at the original announcement, which I mean, who knows if any of that's even accurate anymore? Like, given all that's happened in the past, like 2 years.
I think the majority of it probably is.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. I don't think that they will do, I don't think they'll really have any official announcements. They might have some like small ones, maybe like confirming like Super Nintendo World's in there, because that's something that like we know it's in there, and that is probably the most solid plan out of all of them that they have right now. So I think if we get anything, it'll be a confirmation that Super Nintendo World is in there. But I would agree. I think there's just so much up in the air right now that why risk, announcing something and then, having dirt on your face later on.
Yeah. And it's something that's going to hopefully be there for such a long time.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like you have to be really strategic, because if not, it could be like this was their disaster park.
Yeah. And, because it wasn't just that COVID set them back in terms of like, obviously we can't be working during COVID, therefore, or like we can't afford to do this. It was also that the main creative teams of Epic Universe got laid off. Yeah. And I believe that they hired back the vast majority of them already, but like a lot of that team got let go too. And with that, the people who were experts at the plans and like experts at, like they had created this thing, a lot of those people were gone, and not all of them have returned. So I think in terms of like creatives as well, like there's probably a big delay for that. And then there's all these rumors with, we were just talking about the Harry Potter area that is rumored to be in there. We've heard quite a bit that there's some issues with Warner Brothers and Universal, because the Fantastic Beast franchise is like, Warner Brothers wants to really promote the Fantastic Beasts franchise, but Universal is seeing that it's not performing as well as the original series. So they're trying to figure out which way to go with that.
There's another film, correct, coming out?
Yeah, they actually just dropped a trailer for that new film. So there's another one. And they have been doing well, but not as well. So again, that's just rumors. But with all of that combined, I would agree that I don't think we're going to see any big announcements. But in terms of construction, I feel like they've got to be doing something. And, I was just saying that Super Nintendo World is kind of like the one thing that's like for sure locked.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if we didn't see any big update, like big construction going on for Super Nintendo World, especially since Yoshi, like the Yoshi ride is already sitting in staging areas. So I would say that we're probably going to get Super Nintendo construction. Maybe if there's any announcement, I think the announcement will be that Super Nintendo World is officially like, hey, we're just going to put it out there. It's here, and it's going to be opening with the park whenever it opens. I think if there's an announcement, it'll be that. But Trisha, what do you think about Epic Universe? Do you think that we'll get any big announcements? Do you think that we'll see any big progress on the park? What are your thoughts?
I think they might let us know little bits here and there. I think especially since, we didn't think we'd be going into 2022 and COVID would still be what it is.
Yeah.
So I feel like they don't want to say too much too fast, probably, because, you don't want to let people down either.
Yeah. And Universal has been very notorious with keeping their lips shut about their projects. Like, especially with Velocicoaster, right? Like we were talking about this a few weeks ago, how they didn't announce it until like it was almost open. Like it was finished construction and we still didn't have anything official.
Yeah.
Like we knew that it was called Velocicoaster and we kind of knew all the stats and everything, but there was no official announcement until like a few months before. And there's like a bunch of big social media jokes going on about that with like, oh no, don't look over here, it's just a churro stand.
Yeah,
or whatever,
exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's a really good point. You know, like they're probably going to keep their lips sealed for a little bit.
Yeah. And the thing is with Disney, they had announcements that never happened because of COVID. So it's like, I feel like Universal doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. Universal has done a great job in the past at like learning from other companies, not just Disney, but you know, all companies, and kind of like course correcting themselves because of the landscape of the industry. And one of the big things that is being talked about a lot right now is all the things that Disney promised and is either like putting on hold, backtracking, like putting on the back burner, or just straight up not doing anymore. So that's another really good point. I don't think that we'll really have too many big announcements, if any at all. Yeah. Cool. So that is our, what is that, number 1, 2, 3, 4? That's our 4th. So let's go ahead and jump into number 5. And this one is for sure happening. It is definitely happening, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. This ride has been hyped up for so long. I think... I mean, you guys were at D23 when they announced it, right? That was like 2019?
She was.
I
watched a stream of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I watched the stream of it as well. But yeah, that was 2019?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a long
These
time
years
ago.
are all blending together.
I know.
I can't keep track.
I know.
I think, 2019 sounds right, though.
Okay, yeah. So that ride has been announced for a long time, and it's a big project. It's supposed to be like one of the world's biggest coasters, the world's biggest indoor coaster for sure. And we were just talking the other week that there's rumors going on out there that they've spent $1 billion on this coaster, which makes it the world's most expensive coaster by a factor of 3. More than a factor of 3, which is absolutely insane. So we're finally getting not just like a sneak peek, not just a first look, we're getting the actual ride in 2022. We're only a handful of months away before we know everything that there is to know about this ride and actually be on it, experiencing it firsthand. Trisha, since you were at the announcement of this ride, what are you excited for this ride? What are your thoughts? Do you how does this rank for you in the personal list of excitement?
I'm excited. They're saying it's going to be like a family ride, so it's probably not going to be too crazy. Yeah,
it's definitely not going to. There's not going to be any inversions.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a decent amount of thrill to it, for sure.
Oh, yeah,
like there's a backward launch and everything. Like they've already confirmed that the ride starts off with like a backwards launch up a hill and everything. And the ride does spin.
Yes.
Like it has a controlled spin to it. So there are quite a bit of thrilling elements on this ride.
Definitely.
But yeah, it is classified. And the classification of a family coaster is literally just based off of height requirements.
Yeah.
So don't let family coaster scare you away and be like, oh, it's just a kid's ride. There might be a good thrill element to it, but it's just accessible to people who are younger than a certain age. Like, you know, it's accessible for people under a certain height, which classifies it as a family coaster because it's meant for the vast majority of people.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm excited. Like every time I walk by that, you can see the wall and everything, and it's like, okay, I'm ready for this.
Yeah,
it's
and
like, come on, just do it.
There's so much mystery to it too because it's all indoors. So it's like
you have no idea what's happening.
What's happening? Yeah. Yeah, I'm finally like I'm ready to just finally see what's going on.
Me too.
Cool. Sean, what do you think about this?
So for me, I'm really excited. I feel like I've seen so much ride footage. I've seen so many releases of like images relating to the ride vehicles. I've heard too much. It's time. Like I'm ready.
It's time.
Like strap me in. Like bam. Like let's go. It's just.
I don't care if it's done. I don't care if it's finished. I will risk my life.
I honestly
put me on it.
I think we talked about this. I don't know if it was last week's episode or one of the previous, but we had just said it like this ride has been it's been like forever. It's been like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, and as far as like construction and the announcement, we just said literally 2019 was the announcement, and then now it's at the end of 2021, possibly the beginning of 2022. I don't know when this is airing, but it's just, I feel like it's time. Like, I'm ready.
It
like
is.
I just feel like I don't know what else they can do. I don't know where else. It's time now. Like, enough is enough.
Like, stop teasing us, Disney.
Like, just give it to us now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost going back to the Iron Gwazi. It's just been so long.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm like, okay, well, like, could you just give it to us now? Because like, I don't really, like, that initial excitement is kind of gone. To be really honest.
Well, it's like, oh, that's still happening?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I guess we're supposed to have that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh my God, we're getting this. It's like more like, oh, we probably should have had this by now.
Yeah.
And it's a little lackluster for me at this point. I'm sure it's going to blow my socks off when I actually get on the ride. But, it's just because of the waiting, I think, and everything that's kind of led up to it. It's been a wild ride that I haven't even been on yet. So.
The journey to the ride.
The journey,
in and of
ride.
itself. Yeah. Well, okay. So speaking of rides that were announced in 2019 and have just been taking so long, and everything that you just said, let's jump over to the next attraction then, and that's Tron.
Yes.
So the difference with Tron and Guardians is, well, with Guardians, we actually have an opening date. I don't think we have a date, but we know the month, right? Or is there a specific date?
So I don't know. I just know, one thing as well with Tron is we kind of know what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's just a clone.
It's just a clone.
Yeah.
Like, whereas with the Guardians, it's like a whole new exciting adventure we've never been on before.
Yeah, and I am excited. Oh, sorry, did you find something?
I'm just trying to see if they have the date up.
Okay. So I am excited for Tron. I think it's definitely something that's needed in Magic Kingdom, for sure. That park just needs a little update here and there.
Yeah.
And that is going to be great for that. But the fact that it's taken so long, again, everyone's been talking about the frustrations of Tron, so I don't want to harp on it too much here. This is supposed to be a celebration of, hey, we're getting something. So I do want to celebrate it, but it's kind of hard when we specifically, we don't even have a official date for, we don't know for a fact that Tron is opening this year. I have very boldly predicted in my vlogs and on the podcast before that I think that Tron is going to open at the very tail end of summer, maybe early fall of 2022, which would put it a handful of months after Guardians. And I'm still sticking to it, but with the fact that we're getting into 2021, or 2022, sorry, we're getting into 2022, and it is still not even nearly close to being done. I don't know. I'm starting to waver a little bit in that, but I don't know. I'm still thinking that we're getting it in 2022, but it's still a maybe. And I feel like because this hype has just been going on for so long, I feel like people are going to get off that ride, unfortunately, and just be like, oh, that was it?
Yeah. I will say, I love that you're manifesting a 2022.
I am
this attraction.
Holding on to it.
I don't know. I do get that as well, though. It could be something where it finally comes here and people are just like, oh, we waited 3 years for this? What?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's with anything, though. Just when you hype something for so long, it can't help but naturally fall short to whatever the expectation is. Just because it's been built up for too long. And it feels like it's going to be this life-changing experience. But in reality, it was never set out to be that. It was something that took too long to make.
Yeah, exactly. It was never meant to be revolutionize the industry.
Yeah.
We already have this attraction in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Or no, Shanghai, right? Shanghai?
I don't know. I think it's
somewhere
Shanghai.
in China. It's Shanghai, I think.
I could be so wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, it's somewhere in China.
Yeah. Or it's in Asia. That's all I know. Because I thought it was a Tokyo. I don't know.
Well, it's definitely not in Tokyo.
It's not in Tokyo?
No.
Okay, I'm crazy.
Yeah. So I believe it was Shanghai because it's that city was so technologically advanced or something like that.
Because the Pirates attraction is there, is it not?
I think so. I'm such a bad Disney Parks fan.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's Shanghai.
I think so, because I think they're both there together. Yeah.
And Pirates is in Hong Kong or something. I don't know.
I think that's at Shanghai too, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be. Yeah, it probably is because I know wherever it is, the reason why they built it was because that city was so technologically advanced.
Yeah.
They had to build something that like would fit Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
You know, like they had to completely redesign the idea of Tomorrowland because the actual city that people were living in there was so advanced that they had to like really change stuff. So that's why they put Tron in instead of Space Mountain. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be kind of like on the same level as Space Mountain. A different experience for sure, because it's not completely 100% indoors, but still that same kind of experience. And like you were saying, Sean, I think it's just unfortunate that the ride was never meant to be this massive thing.
No.
But because there's been so much hype and waiting behind it, that I feel like people are going to get on expecting Disney to like really blow people's minds. And they'll get off and be like, huh, that was it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's going to be a bad attraction. I just think it's going to be underwhelming.
That's how I felt about Ratatouille.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah, because it took so long.
Yeah.
And then it came, and then it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Expected a little bit more.
I'd never been to Paris. Obviously, I didn't really have any type of reference to that, but that was how I felt. I'm not going to lie.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
You know, I actually still haven't ridden Ratatouille.
Really?
But that's because I just haven't, I don't know, I haven't felt the hype enough for that ride, you know, because, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but I think in order to get a boarding pass, you have to make that your main reservation, right? Like you can't like park hop and get a boarding pass, right? Yeah. So that's the thing. Epcot is never going to be a park for me. Like as long as reservations exist, Epcot is never going to be a park for me where I make that my reservation. Like it will always be I'm at Hollywood Studios for the day, and then at night I might go over to Epcot to see Harmonious or get dinner or like go to a festival. It'll never be like I'm waking up at 9 a.m. to go to Epcot. Yeah. You know, like and Disney for me is just such a drive that I don't want to spend like 2 hours at the park or whatever. You know, like Epcot would just never, in my scheduling of Disney trips, it would never fit into a position where I would be able to get a boarding pass. So, like, the few times that I have been to Epcot since it opened, I just wasn't able, like, I didn't ride it. And the reason really is just because the hype isn't there, you know? Like, if that ride opened and everyone was like, it's like they took Spider-Man and put it on crack, and it's like the best thing.
And added rats.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's like the best screen-based dark ride ever. Like then I would be like, I gotta ride it, and I would make Epcot like my thing for the day. I don't know. I just haven't done it yet, and I think it's because like what you were just saying, like it was hyped up so much, people got off, and they were like, well, it wasn't what. You hyped it up to be.
Maybe when Guardians opens, that will no longer be a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like right now, I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, I understand that too.
Yeah, and I think in the context of Guardians, people will like Ratatouille a lot more. You know, I've been saying for a long time, Ratatouille was never supposed to be an e-ticket attraction. Yeah. It's not supposed to be the big draw for the park. It's supposed to be that filler where it's like you're at the back of World Showcase and there's nothing for a long ways until you get to Frozen. Or if you're walking the other way, until you get to Living with the Land or whatever, or Finding Nemo, there's like nothing. So it was meant to be like that filler, you know. It wasn't supposed to be this e-ticket attraction. It was supposed to be a D ticket or C ticket attraction. And I think in the context of that park with Guardians, where there's a new e-ticket attraction, where it's genuinely an e-ticket attraction, I feel like people will be like, oh, Ratatouille's not so bad. I don't know. But yeah, no, I feel that same way, kind of like just having like not even riding it. I just kind of feel like I don't have that hype. Like I don't really need to ride it. But jumping back over to Tron, I am just so out of it. My head has been all over the place. Have you given your thoughts on Tron yet?
I'm excited. I like riding the People Mover, and you can see the construction and everything.
Yes.
That is like, I love the People Mover anyway, but that is definitely
honestly the best attraction in Magic Kingdom. It's underrated.
I was so excited when it reopened.
Yeah.
It took way too long.
Never take People Mover away from me again.
I know.
We will cry. We cannot have a Disneyland over on this side of the
Yes,
coast.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you can always get a really cool view of Tron when you're on People Mover. So it's always cool to like see the construction and see the progress on it.
Yeah, it's the go-to spot.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I am excited too. I am just trying to like manage my expectations a little bit with it and kind of put it on the same level as like, you know, it's a modern version of Space Mountain.
Yeah.
Instead of but you know, I think Guardians will live up to the hype, and I just pray that hopefully people won't put too much hype on Tron.
Yeah.
But speaking of Tron, let's move on. We'll try to wrap this up real quick. We're going to tie a whole bunch of stuff into like a few points into one point here. It's a bunch of smaller stuff that some is we're hoping and some is definite. But returning to the Disney parks, over in Disneyland, we have the Main Street Electrical Parade returning in 2022. I know that is a big thing for Disneyland park fans. So we're definitely excited for that, and we'll give our thoughts on all this in just a second. After that, though, it is also confirmed Festival of Fantasy. Sorry, you can't say it. You have to sing it. Is returning to. I am so sorry that people had to hear that. Everyone, like, if someone's listening to this in their car, all the windows just shattered. Fantasy. Anyways, it's returning to Magic Kingdom 2022. We're here for it. We're excited. And tying this together with Tron, you know, I have said that I am thinking that Tron is going to open in 2022. Well, that also means that if Tron opens in 2022, the Walt Disney World Railroad has to return in 2022.
Choo choo.
Choo choo. 2020 choo choo. But anyways, so yeah, those are the three things that let's just kind of like wrap up all into one topic. We got Main Street Electrical for sure, Festival of Fantasy returning for sure, and then we've got maybe the Walt Disney World Railroad, but I am putting the flag in the sand. It's happening. So Sean, what do you think about those? Give your thoughts on the parades, obviously, but what do you think about Walt Disney World Railroad as well?
You know, I will say it's been quite a while since the railroad is closed. I think it's been, like 2 years now?
Yeah.
Like, it's been a long time. And obviously, it was for Tron, the construction, because part of...
You know, I think... Sorry, I had my mic muted. You know, I think that it's actually been closed for 3 years.
Has it been 3 years? I believe
it's 3 years.
It's been a long time.
Because it closed before construction of Tron.
Yeah.
Because they had to reroute the Tomorrowland Speedway as well.
Yeah.
So
it's been
3 years, I think.
It's been wild how long it is. And then I know they made it into a photo op, the Walt Disney World Railroad, and then now is it still a photo op? Can you pose with the train cars anymore?
Yes, so I believe that just reopened. Literally just reopened. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it, because I haven't been there since the holidays started. I'd been there once, like right when it started, but I believe it has just reopened, where you can take a photo with the train.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's time. Like, I would like to see it again.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Festival of Fantasy is what I'm most excited about.
Festival of Fantasy.
But, I'm most excited for that, if anything, just because I feel like that's... Yeah. It's weird, because I think that kind of lends itself almost like this... That was back when it was pre-COVID. That was the last time we saw it, and I think it just kind of is now, in my mind... forever connected to this happier, better, like freer time in the parks prior to COVID. And so it's exciting to finally get that back. Obviously, it's so bizarre that now we're seeing, like, as we talked about our first topic in the show, is just Universal reverting backwards and making their mask mandate more stricter again and bringing it back indoors. So I don't know. It's like, I'm still excited. It is just bizarre timing now because of this new, resurgence in the COVID-19 pandemic, but it is what it is. And as far as that last topic, which is wrapped into this, which I actually forgot now because there's so many topics.
We've got Festival of Fantasy, and we've got then we also had the Main Street Electrical Parade.
Yes. Oh, the Main Street. So you know what? I've actually been to Disneyland twice now. Both times, obviously, it's not been there, of course. Well, not that anyone at home would know that, but it was not there. And so for me, I think it's exciting. I know so many people are obsessed with that attraction. I know people that have actually, they literally have extended their vacations just to make sure they could see it. It is iconic. It is legendary. It is everything in a bag of chips. I've not even seen it, but I know the hype, and I know it's just forever loved by so many Disney fans everywhere. And so it only makes sense that they would bring it back. But I'm excited that it is coming back because I know they don't have to bring it back. It's a treat for a lot of people.
Yeah. It seems like every few years they take it away and they say, this is the last time.
Yeah.
And then like a year or so goes by, a few years go by, and they're like, all right, we're bringing it back. Yeah. Just because people love it so much that it's like they want to retire it because they're like, guys, we could do something else. And all of the fans were like, no, we want our Main Street Electrical Parade. Yes. But I know, Trisha, you were really excited about that. So, talk about like all three of those.
Well, Main Street Electrical Parade's my favorite. My all-time favorite. Yes. Wow. So I've said bye to that parade so many times. And last time I saw it was in California, and literally we bought a Disney ticket just to see it one last time.
So you're one of those crazy people.
I don't mind.
Sean, you weren't lying.
I wasn't lying.
And when they bring it back, when they give the date, I am flying to California.
Really?
Just to see it.
So in the last episode, you contractually are now obligated to bring the two of us with you. So when they announce the date, the three of us are
all be
traveling. That's what I'm hearing.
A trio together.
That is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I am so excited. That is just, I don't know. That parade just feels like home to me. I don't know why.
Yeah. So. No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I don't believe I've ever seen it. I mean, I've never been to Disneyland. I think I've seen like clips of it. I don't even think that I've seen like the whole thing, like a video of like the whole thing. I've just seen bits and pieces. And I know that they kind of have something, or used to have something like similar in Magic Kingdom. But from everything I've heard, it's not the same thing. Yeah. So I would I would definitely be very excited to see it. So I'm glad they're bringing it back. Hopefully it gives me a shot to see it.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about Festival of Fantasy returning?
I'm excited about that one too.
Yeah.
I know, like Sean was saying, that was before COVID. So it's just kind of like, you just want a little bit of something normal again.
It feels like home.
Yeah. So I'm excited. And I remember when they announced it, we just all were texting.
Cried.
We're like, Sean, it's
we all cried.
Well, yeah, because literally we had filmed a podcast the day before, and we were talking about the stuff that hadn't returned yet, and you were like, they need to bring back Festival of Fantasy. And then literally the next day,
morning.
It was less than 24 hours after that.
Yes.
Like, and you spoke that into existence.
That was my manifestation.
Yeah, anyways, so you're excited for that one as well?
Excited. Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, what do you think about the railroad returning?
I think that's just a classic. It
is.
It needs to be back. I miss it. I really miss it.
Yeah, I miss that one too. For me, I don't know, that's just like, that is one of the few attractions in the park that has Walt Disney's like DNA all over it, and not just like I don't know. I'm not talking about like the Walt Disney World Company. I'm talking about the man who built Disneyland, and this was like his dream and his thing. Magic Kingdom was built as like done in memory of Walt. Like, this was his brother's like final thing that he did to honor Walt Disney, and the Walt Disney World Railroad was like this staple of just how like that was like one of those things that Walt Disney loved the most in Disneyland. and it was like one of the first things he thought up of for Disneyland.
Yeah.
And when Disneyland first opened, the first place that you saw him was on the railroad.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so much of his heart and love of railroads bled into the parks, and I feel like at Magic Kingdom, Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World as a whole is one step removed from the era of Walt Disney World. Or, I mean, not Walt Disney World, Walt Disney the man. And that's sad. You can, from everything that I've heard, like, you can really feel the difference between Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. And you can feel the presence of, like, this is a man who built this park out of love, and every detail came from him.
Yeah.
Versus at Walt Disney World, as great as it is, it's a replica, made a little bit bigger with a little bit more of a budget, which is great. But for me, like, the Walt Disney World Railroad is just something. There's something so iconic about it, and there's something so it feels like home. You know, like when you walk into that park, it's like the closest thing to being at Disneyland that as you can possibly be, because, you know, like, sure, we have Pirates of the Caribbean, but it is a heavily modified version.
Yeah.
You know, sure, we have It's a Small World, but it is not the version from the 1964 World's Fair that Walt Disney World dreamed of and thought of. You know, sure, we have the Hall of Presidents, but the Hall of Presidents was built as a memory of Walt Disney. It's not the actual Abraham Lincoln like memories of Abraham Lincoln or whatever. I forget the exact name off the top. Great moments with Abraham Lincoln. You know, so there's so much that is similar, but the railroad is really that thing that's like you get on it and you feel the Disney magic.
Yeah.
And it has been gone for so long. It's been gone for so long that I have, in all my time having an annual pass at the park, I have never ridden the railroad with my pass.
Oh.
Yeah, like, so before it was either I knew someone who worked at the parks and they always got me in, or I was gifted tickets, or, you know, something like, or my family had just bought day tickets, or, like, you know, I had an annual pass like when I was really young. But like 3 years ago, 3 years ago, it was when I got my annual pass to Disney World, and the railroad had been down when I first got my pass, and I feel like I've had my pass for forever.
Yeah.
And this whole time, I have not ridden the Walt Disney World Railroad, and it's like this little piece of childhood that I just haven't been able to experience again. So I cannot wait for this thing to open. Yeah. Every time I walk into the park, obviously it's the first thing you see. When you get to Magic Kingdom, you get off the boat, or you get off the monorail, or however you get over to the park, the first thing you see when you step on land is the big station. Yeah. And it's supposed to welcome you to this happy place. And with it not being there is a little bit less of that magic in that first moment of getting there. You don't hear the train horn. Yeah. You don't see, like, there's something missing when, like, you don't have the kinetics of the train going around the parks, you know? Yeah. And so I am very excited. I honestly am probably more excited about the stupid train opening than Tron opening. Like, I just want it back. Yeah. So I'm excited for that. Yeah. Regarding the other two, I am happy that Main Street Electrical is coming back to Disneyland, because maybe that gives me a shot to see it in person. Like, that would be awesome. I want to get over there so bad. Like, you guys don't even understand how bad I want to get over there. So that's great. And Festival of Fantasy. That's great too. You know, I don't have like a very heavily like strong emotional connection to that parade, but as we were talking in that episode where you manifested it, there has been something lacking in the parks without real parades. You know, I love the cavalcades, but they're kind of like a half measure. So it's exciting that we're getting this full parade back in the parks. So a lot of honestly, a lot of exciting stuff is happening in 2022. But I think we're going to just wrap it up there. We might do another episode where we talk about, earlier I said that we have a list of questions about 2022. Like, do you think we'll see this? Like, maybe this will happen. Like, we're hoping for this. So there's another list of like things that we're hoping for, all that. So maybe if you guys respond well to this episode and you like this kind of like dreaming and thinking of the future, looking forward to the future, this style of episode, then maybe in the next episode we can cover some more of this. But I think as of right now, I think we've covered quite a bit, right? Like, Is there anything else you guys want to add?
Well, so I did do a quick fact check. So it was 2023 was the initial projected opening for Epic Universe. They set it themselves, and then now it is 2025.
Okay.
And so it is like a 2-year pushback, which is upsetting.
That is kind of upsetting.
Per the Orlando Sentinel. So you know what? It is what it is. I'll cry tomorrow.
Yeah. It'll just make 2025 even more sweet. When we're walking into the gates of that park, it'll make it even more sweet.
Yes.
I know, that seems so far away. Oh my God, I hope it is.
It sounds like it's a futuristic date.
It does. But I know it won't be. It's just even crazier. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Cool. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. So let's go ahead and just say where people can find you. Thank you guys so much for joining us, by the way. So, Sean, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Sean Sposato.
Awesome. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for having us, because a little behind the scenes here, Sean is actually hosting us in one of his photos. So when I say thank you for being here, I actually mean thank you for allowing me to be here. But anyways, Trisha, where can people find you?
On Instagram at Trisha611.
Awesome. And of course, my name is Jonathan Holt. You can find me on pretty much any social media at John Holt 96. Of course, all of the links to our socials and all that will be in the description. So if you're curious where you can find us, just check it out there. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Please jump down in the comments and just start a conversation. What are the things that you are excited about? But until then, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because we have a lot more stuff coming up. You can hit that bell to be notified when all those videos and new podcast episodes go live. But of course, you can also listen to us on your commute or wherever in an audio format on all the podcasts. So if video doesn't work for you, there's audio. If you want more than audio, we do video. Check us out on YouTube, all that fun stuff. Anywhere you can stream podcasts, you can find us. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember, the adventure lives on. Peace.